Apparently the city has decided not to clean it. Well, they put their toys away. I'm going for my walk anyway. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, we had a blizzard. We had a pretty good foot of snow. Now we get snow all along the street again. And I'm going for my walk anyway. The benefit is the snow is all hard as a rock. So I can get up the street. It's gonna melt fast though. So I'm gonna stay on the very edge, which is frozen pretty hard. About 40 degrees. Every once in a while my foot is going to sink through. But we'll make it. As soon as I get on a smaller side street, I'll get off the snowbank. So I'm pretty much going to walk where I can walk today. That's starting to soften up already. And this is so hard and compact from the rain we had that I don't think the city can clean it anyway. They would. They've done it before. But we had a lot of snow all at once. So all said and done, we had a foot of snow here, which is already compacting down. But as you can see, there's no sidewalk. So I'm going to get off this main drag and I'll walk on some normal pavement. Which is okay. This won't last long. Winter's over. Whether it wants to admit it or not. And as you can see, there's just too much traffic to walk on the side. So we'll take off down this way and I'll walk on the streets less traveled. Hope you're enjoying your day. I definitely needed to get out and go for a walk after that storm. Snowed like crazy all day Saturday. Now we wanted to go shooting on Sunday yesterday, but that didn't work out because for one thing, I had to go out and clean snow when it stopped snowing. Well, I didn't have to, but here's the deal. We had a foot of snow and it was changing over to rain. And if you learn anything through your lifetime in New England, if you get a chance to clean snow as it's changing over to rain, that's when you go clean it, because if you don't, you're gonna have a couple of inches of wet slush at the bottom of the snow, because water goes down towards gravitational pull, and you will end up with 2 inches of ice that you can't clean. Hello, sir.
Oh, well, how are you?
I think most of this will be gone by the end of this week.
Yeah, it will.
Couple inches of rain later, 50 degrees, that'll do it. Well, he's out cleaning up his snow. And this was one of those towards the end of the season storms where you get rain mixed with ice pellets mixed with snow. Very difficult to clean. Fortunately, when I went out with the snowblower, which was the story I was telling, it was just changing over to a kind of sleet stuff and some rain, so very unpredictable. So ended up going out, cleaning that up at 2 o'clock in the morning. Started at 1, finished at about 2:30. Had to do some shoveling too. But most of the snow cleaning I do is mechanically assisted with a snowblower. It wasn't too cold, it was about 25 degrees. And we got a snowblower that shoots snow like 40 feet. It's awesome. 40, 50 feet. It just really throws it. And because I went out there before it got slushy and wet, it actually cleaned up pretty easily and quickly. Although, I will say that where they plow out front like this, with the snow plows, they plow all of the salt that the city had put down, and they plow it all to the side. So it never quite freezes. It's always like a heavy wet slush. So now I'm going to cross the street. And this really is why I stopped walking this winter. As you can see, I don't have any sidewalks here. And today it's not so bad because the snow was all gone before we got this snow. So this is all new snow. And usually this is like in the winter, you'll have the street here covered in ice and patches and all kinds of stuff that you could slip on, break an ankle. So, I mean sprain an ankle. So I just opted not to walk until the weather was good. So we ended up having those warm stretches. And what happened with that is a lot of the snow melted this winter. I think we set a record for the least amount of snow, or close to it. We had less than 2 feet of snow in Maine, which obviously we can't say that now because we got a foot last night, and northern Maine got 22 to 24 inches. So they got a lot of snow up north. And on the coast here, only about 18 miles away from me is Brunswick, which is on the front, the ocean front, Bath, Brunswick. They got 3 to 6 inches, but they got a lot of ice. The ice piled up on the trees, and the trees snapped and broke. And even today, there's still thousands of people with no power. So no power equals no heat unless you have a wood stove. Or a generator hooked up to it. So I'm glad it didn't change over to us getting a lot of rain, because we would have got freezing rain too and would have lost our power again. And losing it for 5 days before Christmas was enough for me. So anyway, today I'm gonna spend my walk watching for cars, hoping they don't kill me, as long as I get my 5 miles in. I got my new fancy cell phone touchy gloves. These are thermal gloves that I got so I can use them for firearms too. And I can also stuff magazines with these, which I was happy about. I tried that out. So, pretty happy about that. Anyway, a lot of stuff to talk about today. The state of Maine Democrats are in a quandary. They desperately want to pass this trans and abortion sanctuary bill to give minors sanctuary in Maine without having to notify parents from kids that came from other states because they couldn't get trans surgery or abortions in a state where they were made illegal. Part of the bill forbids Maine law enforcement to extradite these minors to their parents, who are supposed to have legal custody. So the other part of this bill, as barbaric and insane as it is, allows the state of Maine to take custody of the minor so they can transition, kind of labeling it like medical child neglect, abuse by the parents by not allowing the child to do that. I don't know what it is with these people. All I can think of is it's a neo-Marxist political ideology that has infiltrated everything that is sane in this country, and they certainly don't have the majority, but they have the media, and apparently they own the politicians with money, of course, big donor money, like Michael Bloomberg, still trying to take everybody's guns. He's not from Maine, probably never comes here, but he's spending millions and millions of dollars to take our gun rights. So these are the same kind of people with lobbyists lobbying for ruining children. They seem to be hell-bent on it. Now, I've been emailing my local state representative. I'm sure he's sick of me, but I'm just, asking him why, I hope you're not supporting this. And he's not replying back to me. I'm getting emails back, but there's no message attached to it. So I don't know if he's just email illiterate because he's old. I have no idea. But I have called him before and he answered. They have their home phone number on the website for the state because they're required to do that because it's for the people, by the people, blah, blah, blah. So as I watch cars coming so I don't die today, definitely would not be on my list of things to get done today. But it does look pretty, doesn't it? So certainly warm today. Right now it's about 40 degrees. 38, 40, sun's out, feels warmer than that. And we're definitely gonna have Some warmer weather this week with a lot of rain. So most of the snow will be gone by this weekend coming up. Don't worry, I'm keeping an eye on the cars. This person saw me. People, for the most part, in Maine are pretty respectful for people that are walking, and there's no sidewalks. I think people are used to that. So the Lewiston Fire Department go by me. Coming up on the Great Chicken Coop Crisis. Now it looks like they're still snowed in. We just had that big storm. Now typically if this was a normal storm, it would have just gone through. We would have got 3, maybe 4 inches. But the problem was it stalled out and it just sat over Maine, snowing for almost 24 hours, literally. Pretty unusual. One woman in my ear said I've gone a mile. I got no reason not to believe her. Now the other good thing about looking ahead, and we have snow here, is that if I have to, I can dodge, jump in the snow. Always grateful when people see me, but there's always that one person that won't. And as one of my aunts used to say all the time, this person's speeding. As my aunt used to say all the time, believe you me. There's always one that's not going to be doing what they should. Now you can see this is snowed in here. This is an abandoned house. It's not abandoned, it's just empty. And they have no trespassing signs posted, and a sign that says security camera, which I'm sure it's not. People just put that there. That actually indicates more likely there isn't one. I sure as hell wouldn't advertise that there was video surveillance. I would just put a sign that said no trespassing. But that's just me. So anyway, pretty much most of my walk, I think, is going to be in the road today. I don't know how much of a problem that's going to be on the main drag by Bates College up that way. I might end up turning around, coming back the way I came because of it. I won't know till I get there. But it's a busy 4-lane road, and I am not going to walk on that with a lot of traffic. Almost warm enough where I won't have my nose running. I'm sure that'll make everybody happy. Now we are going to get a lot of rain this week, so 1 or 2 of the walks this week I'm going to take are definitely going to be in the rain or a chance of getting wet. I do have a rain parka. Pull the hood up and try to cover the camera so it doesn't get wet, even though it's waterproof. Well, you can see why I didn't do much walking this winter like I would have liked until the snow melted. But I've had 2 days without walking now, I worked too hard to get my stamina up. So I'm not going to give it up. Yep, that whole hill right there doesn't have a sidewalk. Well, we'll just make do the old-fashioned way. I might get yelled at or beeped at or something, but that was precarious. To keep your head on a damn swivel. Most of these people swerve way wide. It's awesome. But you just saw that big giant, I don't know if that was a Caprice or a Lincoln or something. It was an older, bigger car with a damaged front end. It's like, well, the front end is damaged. There's your first clue. So anyway, geez, all kinds of news going on today. Well, Trump did an emergency appellate court, an emergency appeal, because it was pretty obvious. There's my doggy friend. Hi! Hi, buddy. Beautiful dog. So, Trump did the appellate court, and today's ruling was awesome. It saves Trump from financial ruin, basically. It would have been a catastrophe for him. Because as explained in the previous video, nobody really has $500 million cash on hand. And it's too big for a company to have to bond it. So the appellate court severely reduced the amount of the fine by a lot, down to 175 million, which he is still getting railroaded. It's a little known legal loophole that they exploited without a jury, and the judge wouldn't let the defense speak or present information. He had Trump guilty right from the beginning. That would be Justice Angeron, which hopefully he'll be called Jerkhole Angeron now, was so over the top biased that I think Trump can still appeal this on different grounds, because he had a press conference after and he said he will put the cash together in a bond, and he'll pay that within the 10 days he's been given. So he can pay the 175 million bonded. So people need to understand that they own a pretty big company, and they have things like payroll, operating expenses. They can't just give all their money to pay a fine. So the crooked judge knew that. Letitia James knew that. And they abused the justice system to punish a political opponent because they don't like him. And that should absolutely piss everybody off, and it has. Trump's numbers are through the roof right now, poll-wise. Biden's running out of giveaways to buy votes. They've shot their wad, as they say. So there's that. So, Well, I'm not dead yet. It is a beautiful day though. Jeez, it really is. This is that guy across here. See, he's got maple buckets hanging. He's gonna make maple syrup. As you can see that. He also gets a lot of turkeys over there. Alright, that's the worst part of this walk. Now I'm going to have a breakdown lane, so it won't be so bad. Yeah, we got too much snow all at one time. That's the problem. You know, that is pretty though, isn't it? So, I was on social media earlier before going for my walk. The left is absolutely melting down today. Not just a little bit, I mean big league meltdown. They are angry with that appellate court. Quote, this is a quote by some of the media stuff. Trump gets away with it again. He gets away with his crimes. So you had the hashtags for Teflon Don trending, Letitia James, Angeron, 175 million was trending. Now Trump's hateful family member there, Mary Trump, who tried to get some of his wealth, she tried to sue him. She wrote a book, a couple books I think. So she's been trying to profit off of Trump and Trump derangement syndrome. So she made a short little tweet, something like, F this, F that, if you can effing believe this, or something like that. It's really funny because they don't seem to understand that this isn't about Trump anymore. This is about them tilting the table and cheating. They're so vehemently opposed to the idea that they cheat that whenever you accuse them of it, they get really angry, upset. There's no evidence. What are you talking about? Every time you turn around, a Democrat's cheating in the election. Either by trying to lock up a political opponent, coming up with charges against his aides when he was president to make him look like a criminal crime syndicate, where most of the prosecutions were process crimes, you know, and they were in DC courts with crooked juries and crooked judges. They were already determined to be guilty. Then you have these J6 people where everybody saw was just walking through the Capitol taking selfies and posting it on Facebook, being charged with trespassing, criminal this, criminal that, and then they up it to domestic terrorism charges after they enter a plea deal. So they're being suckered into entering plea deals and then getting screwed. What are you talking about? You don't cheat in elections. Democrats cheat. They friggin' cheat. They thumb the scale. The end justifies the means. There should be no further doubt of it with America. And I think they're going to vote accordingly. Americans don't like a rigged game. They just don't. You're going to see a lot of volunteers or poll workers cheating like they did in 2020. They're going to have to be watched. Lawsuits are going to have to be filed before the election to allow poll watchers. Can't let them get away with that again. You just can't. This country is getting destroyed, and it'll be ruined if Democrats win again. She's shoveling her snow. That's called Christian motoring. They actually slowed down and let me go by because they were nice. All right, well, this isn't going so bad. Definitely would not do this at night. All right. Well, enjoy the snow while it's here because, like I said, by next weekend it'll be gone. It's already melting off here. So anyway, so the hashtag I saw on X earlier was Don Corleone. They're all trying to say Trump's broke, and he's not. He's not even close to being broke. Cash on hand and being broke's two different things. But now that he got his fine reduced enough to get it bonded, $175 million is a lot easier for an insurance company to justify than $500 million. So maybe the stuff people were saying on TV this week resonated with that judge in that appellate court. Maybe he already decided that this was excessive, had a talk with colleagues, and realized this is destroying the trust in the justice system that they have enjoyed for a long time until you got to New York. Even in California, you still get justice there. They're not locking up Republicans and things like that in California. There's actually people filing lawsuits and winning or losing fairly. California hasn't gone that route because I think they realize if you don't have a justice system, you don't have anything. You don't have the people. They don't trust you. They don't trust anything you do. We just hit 2 miles. All right, so let's move on to, oh, I had a kid sledding down the hill. It's having fun. I used to. Well, I wanted to get a shot of that kid sliding down the hill, but I became a distraction. Thanks. Tough walking today. Now I got a breakdown lane this way, so I got room to walk on the side. Getting warm now. I am sweating. You can see the snow's melting. We're thawing out. Help us! So anyway, now that the traffic's gone by, and once again that just-in-time bowling alley is up that way, and that big lime green sign is up there. You take a right and it goes right to it. A couple 100 feet past that, where that mass shooting happened here. So that brings up my next discussion. There's a shooting we unfortunately had to witness in Russia, in Moscow. Very terrible. Now when that happened, you know, I was expecting, okay, well, you know, somebody in Russia went loopy and shot a few people in a mall or something. I had no idea it was a terrorist attack. Really bad one, as you very well know by now. And well, you know, they it's hard to tell actually who it was, despite the official Russia report of operatives for Ukraine. I'm not sure I really believe that. The ISIS official Amaq news agency, which runs the official ISIS news, or ISIL, or ISIS-K, took responsibility. One of the terrorists actually had body cam footage, which kind of shows them doing it from a point of view perspective. So the people they arrested were the correct people. Now, whatever confessions they obtained, I'm not sure you can really rely on them, because quite honestly, they all look like they were tortured pretty badly. They showed up in their, actually I should say they were drug into the court, literally. Swollen faces, black eyes. One guy had an ear ripped off. Another guy had a catheter and a urine bag, 19 years old, in that chair, wearing a hospital gown with a doctor there. So I don't know what happened to him, for him to have a urine bag and catheter. Maybe he's paralyzed from the waist down. They broke his back. Maybe hit him in the neck. He got a neck injury. I don't know. But the AP reporting and other footage I saw, you could clearly tell that he actually physically had an eyeball missing. He had a hole where his eye should be. So he had a rough time of it, let's put it that way. And the only reason why I don't like to see that is that would be considered a coerced confession. He might have told the truth, that they were ISIS and this and that, and they kept beating him to say that it was Ukraine. that hired them to say they were ISIS. So you don't know with Russia, okay? The other problem I have is the media story is too convenient about the CIA passing intel to Russia, who we're not friends with right now. We have sanctions on them. We consider them an enemy. I don't, but our government does. So I can't trust the CIA either, because I don't trust what they did on January 6th. I don't trust what they did spying on Trump's campaign. That was clearly election interference. It was illegal. People didn't go to jail for it. One person they tried to prosecute ended up not really being prosecuted at all or persecuted. So they pretty much said, well, this was okay for you to do. And they will do it again. So the real problem with this Trump derangement syndrome is they are allowing it to destroy our systems of government and our establishments, and they are destroying everything. Now they're destroying the legal system. So we can no longer trust our government. We can't trust the courts. And I don't know why some simple, sane people that are Democrats that have power say, you know what, this isn't helping us. Sure, our voters like it, but the entire country doesn't vote Democrat, and they absolutely abhor what they're seeing. Maybe we shouldn't do that and throw all of this stuff in the garbage over one single person. And Trump is a threat to the establishment. That's why they want him out. That's why they're doing this to these lengths. They are willing to destroy the Constitution to prevent Trump from being in power again. But I got news for you. He's going to be in power again. You're going to see voter turnout for him like he hasn't had yet. And he did well the last time. He did better than any incumbent ever. Undisputed. They cheated for Hillary in 2015-16. Vote cheated, they just didn't do it enough. And then they put systems in place for the last election and they pulled it off. That friggin' turnip in the White House did not get 81 million votes. He did not. Any damn fool knows that. He got more votes than anybody. Their Messiah, Obama, anybody, everybody. The biggest landslides by Nixon and Reagan. He got more votes than. I'm calling BS on that. They went too far. It was too unrealistic. And people know they cheated. So, what are they going to do for the next election? More people are aware of it. More people are going to be active to prevent it. And they're going to have to cheat even more because Biden's been beyond horrible. Granted, he's just a puppet. His administration is really running the country. But they're unelected bureaucrats, and they're doing what unelected bureaucrats always do. An incompetent job, overzealous, tone deaf, not paying attention to the room they're in. And they are going to reap the whirlwind for it, as Chuck Schumer would say. So anyway, that's my banter on that for today. You can see all these cars here. I think you got a lot of traffic today because we had 2 days of really bad weather. And now people are going out getting their stuff done. Like food and whatnot. This is one of these strips you would go to get on the main strip that goes up to the shopping centers. So hopefully that main drag past the Bates College, I hope the sidewalks are clear. And it will have to go up far enough for me to get up there, or else I'm going to take an alternate route on side streets, which I guess I could do. Whew, I am sweating really good right now. Warming up. A lot less nose running today. Very happy about that. I'm sure you are too. Trying to see if I could see ahead. I'm trying to see ahead way up there, see if anybody has cleaned sidewalks yet. I think realistically everybody put their equipment away. They thought spring was here. I really believe that. They did the snow plowing, but I'm not seeing anything else. And it's so hard and crusty outside of our property that I tried to use a snowblower on that, and that just didn't work. There was like 5 inches of really hard, chunky ice in there. I didn't want the shear pins and the snowblower to snap, which they're designed to do. All right, I'm gonna see. Well, one way to find out is I'm gonna walk down there. Maybe the college cleans their own sidewalks for the kids that go to school, so they don't get killed and then sued. That's kind of what I'm hoping on. I'll find out quickly though. And probably not. I'll probably be walking right back this way. That's okay, I'll side street it. Let's see what we see. If it's clear across the street, I'll cross and use that, but I don't have high hopes of it. I really don't. It's just too much snow. If it was just snow, they probably would have, but there's like a thing of ice in the middle of it. It's hard to explain. And yeah, I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing that clean. They have it clean around the college, but the thing is how far can I go up? I don't want to die today. I don't know how far that goes up. No, they didn't do it. So I'm going to come back this way. I'll take an alternate route because obviously this isn't going to work. So we'll go up this way and we'll hang a right. So I just hit 3 miles early. I hit 3 miles early. I think the storm is actually causing me to take more steps. And GPS is saying that I'm at 3 miles already, and I should be about 2.5, 2.6. So it might be one of those instances where the GPS will catch up with itself as I walk and fix itself, because sometimes it does go off a little bit. Alright, not a walking friendly day today. Do not like electric vehicles. And damn things are unsafe. They're unsafe for people walking. So they have not cleaned that sidewalk on my normal route. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna walk up this way and then I'm gonna hang a left. Pretty much will end up going back the way I came. No sidewalks there either, but there's also not 40, 50, 60 mile an hour traffic going by with no sidewalks that I'll have to rely on people seeing me in time. And if you don't have to rely on other people to notice you, to protect yourself, that's always a good thing. So, I'm passing somebody else still shoveling out over here. I did all my shoveling last night. And like I said, most of it was with a snowblower. It'll be gone by the weekend.
I hope so.
Couple inches of rain, couple 50-degree days, we'll be good. I did all my stuff last night, thankfully. Whew. Yep, she's shoveling out. Welcome to New England, folks. You don't like the weather? Wait 5 minutes. Now it's going to be completely the opposite. Starting tomorrow, we have a chance of showers tomorrow in the mid-40s. Then Wednesday it's going to be warmer. Thursday and Friday will be around 50 or the low 50s with rain. See, that car was too quiet. Well, I'm sure this makes nice visuals if you're watching it. Probably be the last time you see it till next winter. On my walks anyway. There's that Corvette covered snow. See, it's all like this right here. It's all wet and slushy. It's melting. All right. We'll continue on, continuing on. I know which route I'm going to go. I've got this figured out. I'm still going to have a stretch on a 4-lane road towards the end of it, which I'm not going to film most of it because I got to go on that to get to the ranch, which is quite a ways past that. So we are going to have some beautiful walks this summer and spring, so hang with me on that. We got to get to the Appetite or Appetite Park in Auburn. That's going to be a great walk. It's quite a few miles in that park, longer than I thought was there. We got this nice tree with that crow looking at us. He's just up there sitting on the phone, on the lines. That's actually a power line he's on. But he's safe because he's not touching something else. If he did, he'd be a fried bird. So I'm glad I got my touchy gloves that work. Touch cell phone faces with it. It's got that stuff on it. It's got a touch sensitive fingertip and thumb. They're also warmer than the batting gloves I was using. They're a little thicker. My black powder guns, I already tried that out at home. Kind of a tight fit in there. So have to be careful with that. And be careful with black powder anyways. Getting breezy. It's not a cold wind though. Feels like it's warming up is what it feels like. Three days ago on my last walk, we had a little wind like this and it felt downright chilly. Oh, there's a robin. There's a robin under that tree. My mom used to say, when you see the robins, you know spring is here. So I guess they mainly eat little bugs and things. So they know when to show up for the worms. They always have a feast in our yard. All the snow melts and then all the worms come out of the ground. Sometimes you'll see like, 24 robins out there having a feast. It's a pretty neat spectacle. Some more over here. Yep. There's the robins. Bobbing along, as the song goes. There he goes. 1, 2, 3, 4. One up in the tree, 5. Oh, there he goes. Hope you saw that. Wow, they're all over the place. It's like robins galore. Oh, we got the top of this pine tree missing. Storm victim. Well, I'm getting my walk in, so I'm happy about that. I got a good sweat going. I'm getting a good workout. Just don't want to lose my stamina, man. Took too much effort to get it. Comes a lot easier when you're 20. When you're 55, once you have your stamina, you don't want to stop walking because you'll lose it quickly, like within a week or two. Everything's melting. That car is snowed in. Also has a sticker that expired in 2022. I don't think they really enforce expired inspection stickers in Maine. I think the only time you'll get a summons for it is if you're pulled over for something else. I've seen vehicles in the parking lot at shopping malls and shopping centers Entire rear quarter panels rusted out, which is a fail for a sticker, because if you have anything where exhaust gas can get in and kill you while you're driving, you know, like a rusted out trunk or your panels missing, things like that, it's supposed to be a fail. But you know, there was a pickup truck with the entire panel rusted out, no sticker on the windshield, and they were out shopping. So I think if you go out driving and you don't act a fool, you don't get pulled over for speeding, but if you get pulled over for something, they will definitely notice that. That's something they look at when they check your registration. Sometimes they'll go around and they'll physically look at the VIN number to make sure it matches the registration, and then they check your sticker too while they're there. There were some lawmakers in Maine, both Democrat and Republican. For a while they were talking about getting rid of the inspection stickers, or at least making it once every 5 or 10 years or something, because you know, like this car right here, you're not supposed to get a sticker if you get a bumper that looks like that. And looks like they've been in an accident, maybe. Actually, it looks like they have the metal part of the bumper underneath the plastic cover, so it's probably okay. But you know, and the reason why I say that is the people that have a hard time with the inspection stickers aren't the people that have money. People that have money, okay, they keep their car maintained better. There's really not very much to not get a sticker for. And if something comes along, okay, well, just fix it and put a sticker on it. What are you talking about it, you know? And then you have people that can't afford it. You know, they say something like, oh, you need $900 worth of brakes. Well, what if they don't have it? They're going to drive without a sticker, because if you get pulled over and you don't have a sticker, it's a $170 fine. Plus, they'll usually give you a warning if it has just expired recently. But I think they have a grace period, and if you go past that, they won't let you off with a warning. And if you get your sticker before you go to court, they will usually reduce it significantly to around 70 bucks for a fine, which to me is still cheaper than buying $900 worth of brakes. Yeah, it's a hassle, you know. But my point is, it's the poor people that end up paying for those things. And they shouldn't do that. They really shouldn't. You know, you're already getting a yearly excise tax based on your mileage. You know, one of my brothers travels all through New England, and he's got a new vehicle. And because it's a new vehicle, there's a higher tax. And plus all the mileage he puts on it, it's a really high tax. So, you know, that's $1,000 a year for registration. It's basically as an excise tax. Mine's a lot cheaper because I have an older car. I don't put as many miles on it. So mine's pretty cheap. And, you know, I just don't think that's fair. I think somebody has to drive, you know, 40 miles to work every day, 40 there, 40 back, 5 days a week, maybe 6. You know, they're gonna have a bigger tax. And they shouldn't be overtaxing people, period. It's like people have forgotten that, you know, now it's become part of the woodwork. Or the worm work in the wood. How's that? Cockroaches in the concrete, gotta get their money. So there's a Trump flag. Not a shocker in this neighborhood. I just ordered a new Trump flag, Trump 2024. I was going to get the traditional blue and white one with the stars on it, like the Trump flags, but I opted for the red one. It says Trump 2024 on it, a red flag. So people like her can hate me. That is not a Republican. Guaranteed. All right, I just hit 4 miles, an hour and 22. So I'm actually, it's really weird with the GPS today. I just hit 4 miles at an hour 20. I did 5 miles at an hour 25 on my last walk. So I am getting delayed because of the weather conditions, the snow. Not walking where I usually walk. Walking ahead to check if sidewalks are clear, and they're not. Then making an alternate route, yada, yada, yada. So this battery is going to run out shortly, so I will have to change it, which I will. Oh, Mr. Runny Nose is back. Not as bad though. I said they get a cooler out in the garbage. I don't think the trash will pick that up. In fact, I know they won't. It's got refrigerant in it for one thing. That's going to have to be brought to the dump. Just the way that is. Too many rules and regulations. Ooh, you can hear that water running right off the roof in the gutter. Listen to that. Oh yeah. It's melting quick, folks. I got a sidewalk across the street. They cleared the sidewalk because it was a school, I think. So somebody did clear a sidewalk over here. Hey, doggy! The doggy's barking at me. Yeah, I got a sidewalk. How cool is that? This is about where the battery is going to quit too. Just let you know. That's also why I wore waterproof boots today. It is definitely wet. Very happy you're walking along with me. Thank you very much in Lewiston, Maine. After a nor'easter, 12 inches of snow. I'm not even sure technically it was a nor'easter. It didn't behave that way. In fact, I don't think they called it that. It didn't come in. These snow bands didn't come in from the northeast with the winds. It came from the south. Basically, it was a slow-moving disturbance. It took too long to get out. It just kept sitting here snowing. She looked grouchy. She looked like she absolutely did not want to wait for me. That's okay. A couple people walking down here up ahead of me. Looks like a little girl and somebody else. Battery's gonna run out any second now. Actually, the last walk I was on, I think it was 4K. And the battery runs out quicker on that. Ooh, tough walking today. How you doing? Ooh. All right, once we get up around the corner, I'll be back on the street again. Might actually be easier to walk in the street right now. I just don't want cars at my back. That's it. I'll probably take a minute before I get to that street up there, stop recording, change batteries, because I know this one's going to quit any second or minute. Might as well do it where I can control my environment. I will be back lickety splits. All right, resuming walk. We are resuming our walk. Batteries changed. Resuming walk. It's a madhouse. Feel like Charlton Heston in Planet of the Apes. It's a madhouse. And my left hip flexor is barking at me. Sharp nerve pain. That has to do with my lower back. Nerve damage. Doesn't usually bother me. That bolt out of the road so somebody don't get a flat. We get some road salt there somebody dropped. Looks like something dragged there. Probably had a snowplow dragging salt behind. So you plow and leave salt behind you. They got those types. Then they have ones that are just salt trucks. Now if I can get through here where people see me, I'll be happy. Probably the most dangerous part of my walk. Summertime it's not bad because I can walk over here where there's snow. Here I'm walking where the cars are. They come screaming over this hill, they might not see me. So I got my eyes glued. Here comes one. I gotta wait until they see me. And they saw me. Spooky. That's spooky. You got the dog over here in this, they got their outdoor swimming pool. The dog is telling me to stay away. So I'm gonna have to stay on this side of the road all the way back through here because I don't have a sidewalk across the street. And not to sound like a repetitive idiot, but I don't want cars at my back. Ooh. It's not as sunny as it was. Never fails. Very, very rarely does the weather stay the same through an entire hour and a half to 2 hour walk. Now there's less sun. It's a little cooler. And at the moment, there's less wind than there was a half hour ago. All right, I just hit 5 miles, hour and 38 minutes. Not a record-setting pace by any means, but not horrible. Not horrible either, or either. I'm going to stick along the side here. Plenty of water running, snow melt. Yep, this is going to melt pretty quickly. Pretty quickly. Might be an issue for a couple more days of walking. But every time there'll be less and less and less. I'll have more room and more room. Hi. Whew. That woman walking by was a tiny little thing. Short. Kind of person short enough they could be standing in front of me and I could eat beans off the top of her head, as the old saying goes. Got the crows up there crowing around. Well, hope you enjoyed my walk. Hope you enjoyed walking with me in Snowtopia. Snowtopia, Maine. We'll walk for a little ways ahead, then I'll say my goodbyes. Hope life's good to you. If it isn't, I'm sincerely sorry. I know sometimes it seems like the world right now is a big bag of crap, and the bag is letting go, and there's no more bags to contain it. Catch what you can with your fingers and move on. Well, I managed to walk over 5 miles without getting killed. That's good. The old 80s station wagon there. Blatantly obvious they're not running any proper emissions on that. They don't do emissions testing here. Oh, I do have an update though, if you're still watching. The state of Maine, the BPA, which is the Maine's version of the Environmental Protection Agency, which had a loophole exploited that I hope legislators close, where citizens can get petitions, and if they get enough signatures, they tried to get an electric vehicle mandate similar to California installed here, and that was bipartisanly defeated. And the problem with it was it wasn't the legislators that brought that around, because it was a citizens initiative. It could go directly to the BPA, which is the equivalent of the EPA for Maine. And then as a board, they could either accept it or reject it for a policy for the entire state without involving the legislature at all. That loophole needs to be closed. And the friggin' morons that put that in place, probably do-gooder liberals who felt it was a good idea at the time because they were trying to do something else. Well, these Democratic Socialists of America is the name of what they call themselves, exploited that loophole. They're also the ones trying to ban guns. They're also the ones trying to make it legal to rape and surgically mutilate children without the parents' consent. They are a bunch of unhinged, far-left extremists, neo-Marxist lunatics. And even the governor here, who is a progressive, is not on board with most of the stuff they're trying to do. They tried to punish the Maine lobstermen, which is a $700+ million a year industry in Maine. The governor didn't back that either. They tried to get that initiative passed where the state ended up owning the power companies, so corporations couldn't rape the customers with prices without realizing that the government would do much worse. So that didn't pass. These people are lunatics. They are just as crazy as the people you see on the internet that you point at and say, wow, these people are crazy. I hope they never get power. Well, they're gaining power. They're getting money behind them. A lot of money. So they are becoming quite dangerous. It's pretty bad when even the progressive Democrats don't go along with most of their stuff. They're not going to stop though. It's whatever the big donors want and not what the people want. That's how that is now. And the only reason why none of this stuff goes anywhere is because people call their legislatures legislators, their representatives and senators, and they complain like crazy, like I have been. I wasn't really doing too much of that for the past few years, but you have to now. Anyway, I'm gonna trudge back on this snowbank for a ways up that way, but I'm gonna say goodbye now. Thank you very much for walking along with me. I hope you enjoyed the walk today in sunny, funny, honey-filled Lewiston, Maine, as the kids are getting off the bus. And hope you have a beautiful day. Thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.